Finally, he begged the tyrant that he should be allowed to depart, because he no longer wanted to be fortunate. This quotation was taken from Cicero's translation of the story of the Sword of Damocles, which is represented in this painting. The painting was done by 18th century British painter Richard Westall, who was inspired by the neoclassicist movement and wanted to bring back the ancient Greek and Roman styles. In this particular painting, he highlights the Greek myth of the Sword of Damocles, mentioned in Cicero's Tusculan Disputations 5.61, but originating years before that. There have been many interpretations of the myth over the years, but what makes Westall special is his use of irony, and showing how King Dionysius seems to be in control holding the sword, when he is really the one under threat by the men in the shadows. In order to greater understand Richard Westall's The Sword of Damocles, you must be familiar with the myth itself. One day Damocles told the king how great it would be to be king, and how he wished to experience it for himself. The king saw an opportunity and allowed him to switch for a day, to see what it was like to sit on the throne and have the power that he did. The painting depicts the lavish court and shows how Damocles was flattered by everyone in the court and spoiled with gifts and grandeur. As Wenceslas Haller's version of the myth shows, Damocles was lavished with wine and food and attention by fair maidens and all of the people of the court. Damocles was given a garland for his head and treated like a king, but he could not enjoy his new position of power because Dionysius placed a sword hanging over the throne by a single horsehair that was ready to fall at any minute. In Westall's painting, Damocles has lost his garland and no longer enjoys the spoils of the court, but is consumed by fear of the sword until he begs Dionysius to switch back with him, as he had learned that with power comes a great threat that is always hanging over you, figuratively, and in this case literally. Richard Westall takes his painting a step further than others by going beyond the story alone and using the tale to foreshadow the downfall of King Dionysius himself. When you first look at the painting, if you are like me, you see Dionysius to be in a position of total control, seemingly holding the sword over Damocles himself. But we have the benefit of knowing the history of Dionysius, and while in the myth he might have been in control, in real life the sword would fall on Dionysius sooner than he might have realized, which Westall depicts in his painting. The two figures in the corner shadows represent Dion, a former minister, and Plato, a philosopher, both who disagreed with Dionysius and plotted against him. Plato, the philosopher shown in white, did not believe in Dionysius' lifestyle or ruling abilities. As the teacher of Dion, a former minister of Dionysius, Plato encouraged Dion to take power. Dion, shown in warrior garb, plotting in the shadows, took power in 357 BC, after Dionysius had expelled Plato from the kingdom for his treasonous ideas. Painting the Sword of Damocles as a cautionary tale, Richard Westall ironically uses the life of Dionysius to strengthen the story's warning, as Westall foreshadows the seemingly all-powerful tyrant's own downfall. The painting teaches us that with power comes a threat of danger, and that anyone, even when they seem in control, can lose it in a second.